Exclusive contract novel from Feilu Novel Network. The strongest agent opens the file to sign Messi once reborn, how can we lose again? Messi was just the first player signed by Ling Yu, followed by Cristiano Ronaldo, Benzema, Ibrahimovic, Kaka, and more after becoming the most powerful person in the football world and having dozens of strong football clubs around the world. Ling Yu set 3 small goals for himself. Firstly, to help the National Olympic Committee win the championship of the 2008 Olympic Games. Secondly, his Chinese club dominates the Champions League. Thirdly, help the Chinese national team win the World Cup championship. As for how long it can be achieved, 10 years is too long, just 5 years. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. The most powerful people in the football world, New. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Alan Shearer's powerful shot brushed against the right pillar and flew out. Ling Yu was awakened by the sound of the TV in the living room. He opened his eyes and stood up to look around the less than 10 square meter bedroom, feeling familiar in his heart. With a slight pain in his temples, a massive amount of information flooded into his mind. Ling Yu found himself in a parallel time and space, which was slightly different from the original time and space. He understood that after an accident, he was reborn and returned to the year 2000. Now, he is not just a working-class worker who has just passed his 40s, but a junior student at the University of the Arts in London, studying and working to earn pocket money. Ling Yu glanced at the quartz clock on the wall, April 8, Saturday. He understood that God had given him a chance to start over, a chance to redeem himself again. 3 months later, after the end of the 2000 European Championship, I will encounter a series of major changes. My father will jump off a building, my mother will fall ill, a happy family will disappear, and I will also drop out of school, falling into the bottom of my life and a bleak future. Since I am reborn, can I still change all of this? A series of soft and beautiful voices echoed in my mind. Activate and bind the legendary agent system, novice gift pack distribution, you have acquired the skill. Brokerage king, level D, you have acquired the skill. Language genius, level D, you have acquired skill. Never forget, level D, other information can be queried through the system panel. Ling Yu was not too surprised. Sports, entertainment, and online literature were all his favorites, and he was familiar with the concept of reincarnation through time travel and system binding. He suddenly realized that the virtual panel of the Legend Agent system appeared in front of him, and only he could see it. The panel has 3 subsystems, namely, My Tasks, My Players, and My Skills. Ling Yu chose to check My Task as soon as possible, which will be a key factor in whether he can change his destiny in this parallel time and space. Task 01, being a newcomer. Task objective, sign a management contract with a football player. Task requirements, the football player's rating must not be lower than C. Completion deadline, April 16, 2000. Task reward, cash reward, $10,000. Task penalty. Task failed, system shut down. Ling Yu walked to the window, pushed it open, and a cool breeze brushed against her cheeks. As a sports fan, Ling Yu is well aware of the power of football agents, whose power is no less than that of the chairman of the board of directors of those prestigious clubs. The astonishing exorbitant transfers, the rise of green superstars, and the rise and fall of football clubs all conceal the presence of football agents. Cristiano Ronaldo and Mourinho's agent Jorge Mendes are known as the most powerful people in the football world, and this statement is not without reason. Now, there is hope for oneself to achieve the same level of achievement. No, with this legendary agent system, one's achievements should far surpass those of Mendes. How could Ling Yu not be excited? In addition, the $10,000 task reward may not be a big sum of money for myself now, but in 3 months, it will be my life-saving money, enough to change my destiny. Of course, this amount is far from enough. In these 3 months, I must make good use of this legendary agent system to earn more money. Let's set a small goal first, just $2 million. After being excited, Ling Yu, who had a cautious personality, quickly calmed down. He had to eat his food one by one and must complete the first task first. With their current zero visibility in the British football agency circle, professional players should not even think about it. They can only start from amateur players, but it is not easy to sign an amateur player with a rating of no less than C. Ling Yu, who has read the system help manual, knows that players with a rating of C can now play as main players in the English League too, and they all have agents, so it's not even up to him. It seems that we can only find some loopholes in the English National League and the North-South League. Sports memories from his past life kept flashing through his mind, but Ling Yu had no impression of England's low-level league. After searching for a while, he didn't gain anything. There are only 8 days left, and if there is no clear goal, it is like looking for a needle in a haystack, with almost no possibility of completion. Is the first task about to fail? Ling Yu couldn't help feeling a bit frustrated. Downstairs on the street, several English fans walked by carrying beer, and a familiar blue and white jersey caught the eye. In the midst of lightning and sparks, a flash of inspiration flashed through Ling Yu's mind. I'm so stupid, how could I not have thought of him, the Argentinian who will dominate the football world for the next 20 years. Messi. Once the goal was clear, all the information about Messi was recalled by Ling Yu. Thanks to the skill of being unforgettable, some vague memories have now become exceptionally clear. Messi, who is only 13 years old now, should still be playing for the youth team of Newell's Old Boys Club in Argentina and may not have an official agent yet. So, it's you. Messi, I'm here. Ling Yu didn't hesitate at all and quickly walked out of the room. In the living room, a fat man lay on the sofa, eating French fries while watching the English Premier League match, West Ham United vs Newcastle on TV. Brother, you finally woke up. After getting drunk yesterday, you've been sleeping until now. Are you okay? To be honest, Miao Rong is not worth it at all. Seeing Ling Yu come out, the fat man quickly stood up from the sofa with difficulty. Xiaoyi, I need your help now, Ling Yu interrupted the fat man's consolation. The chubby man's name is Fei, and he is a high school friend of Ling Yu. The two of them came to London to study together, rented a house together, played football together, and played iron together. They have a very good relationship. What's up? Just say it, Fei waved his hand boldly. Can you lend me $10,000? Ling Yu only has $300 on him now, so going to Argentina is definitely not enough. Ah. Brother, why do you want so much money? Fei opened his mouth wide. I want to go to Argentina. What are you doing in Argentina? Fei became even more strange. Ling Yu was momentarily speechless, but he immediately thought of a reason. Xiaoyi, you know I'm studying marketing. Our teacher mentioned that Argentina will be the next major consumer of household appliances, and there won't be any classes these days. I want to go around and see if there's a chance, which can also be considered as a prelude to my dad's situation and get to know the situation. Oh, I see. Brother, please wait a moment. After saying this, Fei returned to his room, flipped through it for a while, then walked out and handed a bank card to Ling Yu. Brother, there are $20,000 in this card, you can use it first. Don't rush to pay it back, let's talk about having money. Thank you. Ling Yu didn't politely talk to Fei. Brother, since I am reborn, I will never let the tragedy that happened to you happen again. Brother, which city are you going to in Argentina? Let me tell my uncle. He works at an international brokerage management group and it's convenient to book flights and hotels. The earlier the flight, the better in Rosario, Argentina, said Ling Yu. On the morning of the fourth day, Ling Yu arrived in Rosario, Argentina, after a long journey. Rosario is located in the center of the Pampas Prairie and is an important industrial port city in Argentina. The Newell's Boys Club is a representative of this city, and many Argentine superstars come from this club, including Pochettino, Batistuta, and of course, Messi. However, at this time, Messi is still just a little boy in the old boys and youth team. 2 years ago, he was diagnosed with developmental hormone deficiency, and he is only 1.4 meters tall. Although his football talent is showing, his future is dark. Ling Yu came out of the airport, called a taxi, and headed straight to the old boys club. Now time is money, not a minute can be delayed. In the taxi, Ling Yu called up the virtual panel of the Legend Agent system and entered the My Skills subsystem, confirming his current skills again. Skill 01. King of Brokerage, Level D, possesses a football agent license in England. Skill 02. Language Genius, Level D, proficient in Chinese, English, German, Spanish, and Japanese. Skill 03. Never forget, Level D brain memory ability is 500% of that of ordinary people. As for the other subsystem, My Player, it is now a blank slate with no one, which should be the most important direction for my future efforts. A world superstar with a full screen, not a dream. Sir, why are you going to the old boys club? Today is Wednesday, and they don't train. The taxi driver is a warm-hearted person and also a fan. Along the way, he told Ling Yu a lot about the old boys club, not even keeping up with the gossip news about the chairman of the board of directors. Oh, I'll go see their youth team, Ling Yu said. So you're a broker, the driver suddenly realized. How did you know? Ling Yu said strangely. I heard that the U13 team of the club has produced a genius, and several European football agents have come these days, the driver said casually. Chapter 2. Messi, I'm here, Newcomer seeking support. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. At 10 o'clock in the morning, when Ling Yu arrived at the old boys club, he understood that the taxi driver had not deceived him. On a green field, a U13 team internal competition is fiercely underway. On the sidelines of the field, besides the coach, there were also 3 men in suits and leather shoes, probably agents from Europe. Among them, there was actually an Asian face, all eagerly watching the game on the field and occasionally recording something in his notebook. Ling Yu's heart suddenly tightened. In this time and space, 13-year-old Messi has already attracted the attention of many brokerage firms, so it will undoubtedly be much more difficult for me to sign him. Sir, are you? A staff member from the old boys club greeted him. My name is Ling Yu, and I am an English football agent. I came here to see the young players in your U13 team. Ling Yu spoke fluent Spanish while showing his identification. Then you come with me. The staff brought Ling Yu to the side of the 3 men in suits. Mr. Ling, you stay here first. After the competition is over, if there is any need, I will arrange it for you, the staff said. Ling Yu nodded. The 3 men in suits couldn't help but feel a surge of hatred when they saw another colleague coming, but the scene still had to be said. Hello, my name is Mike and I am a football agent for England's Sports Entertainment Company. Hello, my name is James and I am a football agent for Bavarian Sports Management in Spain. The Asian is the most enthusiastic. Konnichiwa, my name is Masahiro Yamamoto, from Fuji Sports Agency in Italy. He spoke in Japanese. Ling Yu understood that the other party must have regarded him as Japanese. In this parallel time and space, in the summer of 1998, with Hideo Nakata joining the Italian club Perugia, Japanese domestic capital began to crazily enter the Italian football industry. Perugia club welcomed Japanese controlling shareholders, and a series of Japanese-backed brokerage companies were also established, with Fuji Sports being one of the outstanding players. Hello, my name is Ling Yu and I come from England. I am an independent football agent, Ling Yu introduced himself in fluent English. The 2 European men, upon hearing that Ling Yu was just an independent football agent, immediately lost interest, while Masahiro Yamamoto looked surprised. Are you from China? Ling Yu nodded calmly. Are you an independent agent? Do you still have a boss? Is your boss Luigi or Barnett? Masahiro Yamamoto asked. Luigi is a top agent in Serie A, while Barnett is in the Premier League. I am the boss myself, Ling Yu said calmly. A hint of disdain couldn't be suppressed on Masahiro Yamamoto's face. Oh, it turns out he's a bare rod commander, or from a small football country. Boy, you have some courage. But I tell you, Roddy from the U13 team, you don't even have to think about it. He will definitely sign with our Fuji agent. Roddy, who is this? A question mark popped up in Ling Yu's mind, and he was immediately ecstatic. These three people are not here for Messi. Ling Yu pressed down on the joy in his heart and said expressionlessly, then wait and see. At this moment, the game was in full swing on the field, and Ling Yu easily found Xiao Messi in the substitute team. He had a delicate face and a short figure, but his footwork was exceptionally skilled. Within 15 minutes, he had already scored a goal and provided an assist. However, Messi's body was very thin, and he was knocked down by the opposing players during several matches, resulting in the loss of the ball under his feet and seemingly showing signs of physical weakness. In the main team wearing red vests, a tall forward's performance is clearly stronger than that of Messi. Strong physical fitness, skilled ball control skills, and within 15 minutes, he has scored 4 consecutive goals with both left and right feet, as well as a header. His skills are very comprehensive. Ling Yu understands that this tall forward should be the genius that several European agents are optimistic about, Roddy. Okay, you guys go grab Roddy, I just want my Messi, Ling Yu thought to himself. He understood that geniuses like Roddy are not uncommon in Argentina, and the key lies in the future growth space. The example of young Zhong Yong is a common occurrence in the football industry. In this regard, Roddy cannot be compared to Messi at all. Everyone had their own thoughts in mind, watching the game on the field, but they didn't notice that a little beggar dressed in disheveled clothes slipped up to them. Sir, please be kind and give me some money. The little beggar first approached Mike and James, and both Europeans arrogantly chose to refuse. The little beggar ran up to Masahiro Yamamoto again, but before he could speak, he impatiently said, "Get out of the way, little trash." He also gave the little beggar a hard push and knocked him down to the ground. The little beggar didn't cry, got up from the ground, gave Yamamoto Masahiro a fierce glare, and then turned to the last target, Ling Yu. Just now, Ling Yu saw this scene very clearly. When he saw the little beggar, a hint of sympathy suddenly surged in his heart. After his parents went bankrupt, he also sang and begged on the streets to make a living. During those difficult times, he understood many things and saw many people clearly. Flipping through his pockets, Ling Yu found a few coins with a face value of 2 pesos, which were the change that the taxi driver had just given him. Here you are. Ling Yu placed the coin in the dirty hand of the little beggar, thought for a moment, and then took out a piece of chocolate that he had bought when he left the airport, ready to eat for lunch. Here, take it, Ling Yu said softly. Thank you, sir. You're a good person. The little beggar took the coin and chocolate and ran happily. For him, this morning's harvest was significant. After the game, Ling Yu forcefully suppressed the idea of directly talking to Xiao Messi and found the head coach of the U13 team for a brief conversation. He had a heart in his heart, first asking about Roddy's situation, and then little Messi. Little Messi, hey, what a poor child. If it weren't for that damn illness. Ling Yu patiently listened to the head coach's nagging, then asked the staff for the home addresses of several young players, and then called a taxi to set off. Destination, Messi's house. As for the home addresses of the other young players, of course, it's just a smoke bomb. After getting off the car, Ling Yuhua took a long time to find Messi's house. Looking at the dilapidated streets, low houses, and rudimentary furniture, Ling Yu understood that Messi's family was going through a difficult time. Looking at the tall young man in front of him, with a star eyebrow and sword-like appearance, Jorge Messi was somewhat surprised. He didn't understand why so many Chinese people were looking for him. When Ling Yu explained his intention, Jorge was surprised. As Messi's father, he was still dealing with a football agent for the first time, although in the future, he himself would be Messi's agent. Do you want to sign a management contract with Messi? Jorge still couldn't believe his ears. Yes, Ling Yu said confidently. Can you tell me why? Because I believe that Rio Messi has the ability to land in the Premier League. Ling Yu didn't say much nonsense. Because he knows that at this moment, what he needs to convey to the other person is sincerity and faith. But he suffers from. Please rest assured that as long as I sign a brokerage contract with Xiao Messi, I will cover all of his medical expenses. I want to help him, and I also want to help you, Ling Yu said as he took out a thick envelope from his bag and placed it on the table. Here is $15,000, which is enough to pay for Messi's annual treatment expenses. Looking at the envelope, Jorge was clearly persuaded, but he still had some concerns. Mr. Ling, you are a very kind agent, but you are just an independent agent and have never had the successful experience of convincing European clubs to sign Argentine players. I still find it difficult to trust you. Otherwise, I will consider it again. Ling Yu was a bit impatient. Half of the time has passed now, and there are only 4 days left until the deadline for the task. The other party's consideration will lead to a sharp increase in variables. If Yamamoto Masahiro and others hear the news and come to cause trouble, then they will be in suspense. Suddenly, a crisp childlike voice sounded, Dad, this gentleman is really a good person. He really wants to help his brother, he won't deceive us. A child ran out of the room, and Ling Yu fixed his gaze and couldn't help but be taken aback. It turned out to be him. That little beggar. Chapter 3. Messi, Get It Done, New Book Seeks Support. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When Jorge Messi, as Leo Messi's legal guardian, signed his name on the contract, a series of soft and beautiful female voices echoed in Ling Yu's mind. You have completed the first task of the legendary agent system, task reward distribution, you have obtained the skill. Tongue Lotus, Level D, you have acquired the skill. Round Moon Blade, Level D, you have obtained 10 player attribute points, you receive a cash reward of $20,000, just as Ling Yu thought the task reward was over, the surprise continued. Due to your signed football player rating being S+, you will receive additional rewards, additional reward distribution, you have obtained 3 skill points, you receive a cash reward of $100,000, your skill, Brokerage King, has been upgraded to the highest level S level, your activation achievement. Full Bloom, system tasks have been updated and can be queried through the system panel, other information can be queried through the system panel, Ling Yu's consciousness moved and a virtual system panel appeared in front of him. There was an additional subsystem called My Achievements on it, but Ling Yu didn't take a closer look. He first opened My Skills. Skill 01. King of Brokerage, Level S, possesses football agent licenses from all countries, Skill 02. Language Genius, Level D, proficient in Chinese, English, German, Spanish, and Japanese, Skill 03. Never forget, Level D brain memory ability is 500% of that of ordinary people, Skill 04. Lotus Tongue, Level D, possesses strong persuasive language ability, can increase persuasive ability by 300% through tone, expression, action, suggestion, and other methods, Skill 05. Full Moon Scimitar, Level D, possesses super strong free kick technique, with an ability value of 90% of Beckham's peak, remaining skill points. 3 points, these 2 new skills are so abnormal, but I just like this kind of abnormality, Ling Yu said in surprise and joy. Due to Messi's training in the afternoon, it was not until around 6 o'clock that Ling Yu first saw Messi. Although Rio Messi was only 13 years old at the time, Ling Yu, as a fan, couldn't help but feel extremely excited and stumbling when he thought about this future superstar and unparalleled double pride. This scene fell into the eyes of Jorge, and a stone in his heart finally fell to the ground. This young man from China did not deceive himself, and his expression was very similar to seeing Batistuta himself. It seems that he is definitely sincere about Rio and sincerely hopes that Rio can become a football star. Leo, with Ling Yu's help, you will definitely be able to overcome diseases, spread your wings and fly high, becoming the true Pampas eagle. Come on, Jorge said silently in his heart. Hello, my name is Ling Yu. From now on, I will be your agent. Hello Mr. Ling, please take good care of me in the future. Messi appeared very polite. Messi, can you tell me who your idol is? Maradona. Who is your favorite movie star? Schwarzenegger. What is your favorite color then? It should be blue, no, it should be blue and white. What impression do you have of China? Huagua is an ancient great country in the east, far from Argentina. It is said that it has the Great Wall and many delicious foods. Do you want to eat Chinese hot pot? Hot pot. What is this? Hot pot is. Jorge on the side was confused. What's going on? Is what you're discussing related to football for half a penny? The next morning, Ling Yu accompanied Messi and took a taxi to the Old Boys Club. Due to Messi taking the bus himself before, this taxi arrived at the club half an hour early at 8:30. As it was still early, Messi brought Ling Yu to the U13 team dedicated stadium, preparing to do some warm-up activities first. However, to his surprise, he met someone named Masahiro Yamamoto. This guy obviously came early, smoking by the field. When he saw Ling Yu and Messi, he couldn't help but be taken aback. This circle is very small, he should have heard about the news of Ling Yu signing with Messi. Ling, are you out of your mind? Even if you can't sign Rodi, it's okay. You even signed this sick guy. Do you think you have too much money? Masahiro Yamamoto said casually. Ling Yu frowned and said coldly, I believe in my own judgment. Cut. Masahiro Yamamoto curled his lips. Leo, you go warm up first. I'll watch you here, Ling Yu said to Messi. Messi nodded and ran obediently towards the court. Looking at Messi's slender figure, Masahiro Yamamoto couldn't help but shout, just him, who believes he can go to Europe to play football. In my opinion, his greatest achievement in the future is to become a substitute in the Argentine Serie C league, useless and sick. Messi's footsteps suddenly stopped, he didn't turn around, and after a few seconds, he continued to run forward, but his footsteps seemed to be much heavier. Ling Yu's face darkened sharply. If he had been himself before, he would have rushed forward and had a fight with the other party first. However, after being reborn, his personality has become much more stable. At first, he didn't want to have any conflict with Masahiro Yamamoto, as they were all in the same circle. Maybe he would have to meet again in the future, but those last few words deeply hurt him. He knew that Messi should also have been deeply stabbed. Masahiro Yamamoto, you touched my scales. Ling Yu stared at Masahiro Yamamoto and said sternly, you must apologize to Messi. I apologize to a little kid named Ling, are you crazy? Masahiro Yamamoto, when you speak ill of a child, are you still not human? No, according to the consistent behavior of your country, from the moment you were born, you have been just a pug in human skin. Ling Yu did not conceal his harshness. Masahiro Yamamoto was angered and wanted to take action, but when he looked at Ling Yu, who was half a head taller than himself and clearly used to exercise regularly, he still dispelled the idea. However, he immediately came up with a devilish idea. My surname Ling, you can ask me to apologize, but we need to have a competition. If I lose, I apologize. If I win, you have to kneel down and kowtow to me, call me grandpa, and retract the insults you made to me just now. Sure. Compared to what? Since we are all in the football industry, how about trying out football? Okay, no problem, Ling Yu replied. Masahiro Yamamoto was overjoyed. Boy, you probably don't know. Before I became my agent, I played in the J-League as a midfielder with 24 game experiences. Although I haven't scored any goals, I still have more than enough time to crush you as an amateur player. How about we compete on free kicks? Free kick. Sure, Ling Yu smiled. Let's go over there for a competition. Masahiro Yamamoto walked towards one side of the goal, where there were several humanoid targets, which were props for young players to train for free kicks. Slow down, why don't we add some more highlights? Ling Yu called out to Masahiro Yamamoto. Lottery. Sure, hahaha. Masahiro Yamamoto seemed to hear a big joke and burst into laughter. What kind of lottery? Ling Yu looked calm and said, $100,000. Masahiro Yamamoto was taken aback and blurted out, do you have so much money? There is an idiom in China called, one word, 9 cauldrons. If I lose, I will give you a lot of money. Masahiro Yamamoto calculated in his heart that $100,000 was his commission income for several years. If he lost, he would have suffered a huge loss. However, on second thought, with his professional football skills, how could he possibly lose against a Chinese amateur fan? Unless the other party is Beckham possessed. Okay, it's a deal, Masahiro Yamamoto nodded. Chapter 4. I became Messi's idol, new book seeking. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At this moment, coaches, young players, and club staff from the U13 team also came one after another. They heard that Ling Yu and Masahiro Yamamoto were going to gamble on free kicks, with a bet of up to $100,000. They all became interested and started to be foodies. Seeing the increasing number of spectators, Masahiro Yamamoto was full of ambition, standing 4-person-shaped targets in front of the goal, and continuously measuring his footsteps and angles. According to the predetermined rules, each person has 5 opportunities to kick the ball towards the goal one by one. Whoever scores the most goals wins. Messi ran to Ling Yu and asked, "Brother, can you win? I just heard from the coach that the Japanese player who used to play in professional leagues should have good footwork." "Don't worry, I will definitely win over him," Ling Yu whispered as he touched Messi's head. With a moment of consciousness, the virtual panel of the system reappeared in front of me, entering the My Skills subsystem. Except for the last 2 items, everything remained unchanged. Skill 05. Full Moon Scimitar, Level B possesses super strong free kick technique, with an ability value of 100% of Beckham's peak, remaining skill points. 1 point, in order to ensure that he can win his free kick game, Ling Yu has just called up the system and added 2 skill points to the Full Moon Blade. At his peak, Beckham's free kick footwork crushed you, an ordinary retired player from the J-League in Japan. Isn't that a blow from dimensionality reduction? Masahiro Yamamoto, there are too few 4-person standing targets. How about we have 7 to increase the difficulty? Ling Yu suggested loudly. Masahiro Yamamoto was stunned for a moment and nodded in agreement. Kid, if you want to kill yourself, don't blame me. Set up the humanoid target and the free kick game is about to officially begin. At this time, Mike and James have also arrived. After learning about the situation, they start talking loudly as if nothing had happened. This Ling Yu is doomed to lose. Yamamoto used to be a professional player, and his footwork is not comparable to that of a Chinese rookie. I think as long as Yamamoto uses 50% of his skills, he can steadily win over that kid surnamed Ling. By the way, Yamamoto, if you win later, don't forget to invite us to the Emperor nightclub Happy in the city. Don't worry, you can splurge tonight, and then I'll pay the bill, Masahiro Yamamoto responded proudly, with an air of victory in his hands. Ling Yu just sneered and didn't say anything. Masahiro Yamamoto, wait a moment, I will make you want to cry without tears. After some discussion, Masahiro Yamamoto kicked first. Although the 7-person standing target has already blocked most of the goal, this guy's footwork is really good. He can even kick a free kick around the wall and score 2 goals. It's your turn. Masahiro Yamamoto looked joyful, and in his opinion, he had already won. Ling Yu looked calm and placed the football more than 10 meters away from the human wall. He took a deep breath and entered an incredibly ethereal state. In his eyes, the football, the human wall, and the goal were already connected in a curve. With sharp eyes and a relaxed approach, he lifted his leg to kick the ball, and the ball rose up in response, creating a perfect arc in the air, like a full moon or a curved knife, circling over the wall and flying towards the goal. Looking at the trajectory, it seemed to be much higher than the goal. "Ha, this ball is kicking, isn't it? This kid's footwork is really terrible," Masahiro Yamamoto chuckled, but the next scene completely stunned him. Amidst the stunned gaze of the crowd, the soaring football suddenly plummeted, rubbing against the pillar at an extremely tricky angle, and flew into the top right corner of the goal at high speed, a theoretical dead corner. At first, there was silence on the field, followed by thunderous cheers and applause. Everyone is an insider, and playing such a banana ball requires such exquisite footwork and precise power control. Everyone knows it well. Little Messi's face turned red, and his gaze towards Ling Yu was filled with admiration and admiration. At this moment, Ling Yu was his idol. Masahiro Yamamoto's face changed, and he vaguely sensed something was amiss, but still harbored a hint of luck. "It's not urgent, it's not urgent. This kid must be fooling around. He can't score the second goal," he said. The second ball, the football drew an equally beautiful arc and flew into the corner of the goal. Masahiro Yamamoto's face has become unusually gloomy. The third ball, enter the dead corner again. Masahiro Yamamoto's face had turned pale. If it weren't for a nearby staff member who was quick-witted, this guy would have collapsed to the ground. At this point, Ling Yu had already won steadily. He walked up to Masahiro Yamamoto and said coldly, "You lost." Masahiro Yamamoto remained calm, his eyes no longer filled with the arrogance he had just shown. Instead, he pleaded, "Mr. Ling, I'm willing to apologize to Messi for this, but could that $100,000 be reduced? I really can't afford to spend so much money." "No, not a penny can be reduced. If you don't fulfill the agreement, I don't mind telling our European colleagues about this. As someone without credit, I'm not optimistic about whether they can continue to stay in this circle." Ling Yu's voice showed a hint of chill. Masahiro Yamamoto's face changed again and again. He wanted to ask Mike and James for help, but only then did he realize that those two guys had already slipped away. "I used to be a friend of wine and meat, but now that I see that my friend is in trouble and may even need to borrow money from me, why don't I run away quickly?" In the end, Masahiro Yamamoto succumbed, took out his wallet, took out a bank card from inside, and handed it to Ling Yu. "There's $50,000 in here, I'll give it to you first. I'll give you the rest when I return to Europe." "Sure, but you must write an IOU," Ling Yu said. After some twists and turns, Ling Yu put away the IOU written by Masahiro Yamamoto, who was extremely heartbroken, and forced this guy to apologize to Messi before the matter came to an end. Masahiro Yamamoto was no longer in the mood to stay in Argentina, and there was little hope of signing Rodi. He flew back to Italy that afternoon, leaving him little time to raise money, only 1 week. Ling Yu stayed in Rosario for another 5 days and rented a house near the old boys club with Jorge, so that little Messi wouldn't have to travel long distances every day, accompanied little Messi to the best private hospital in Rosario for a comprehensive examination to determine the best treatment plan. In addition, Ling Yu also visited the head coach, youth training manager, football director, and others of the old boys club, relying on the power of the US dollar to establish his own network. To become a successful agent, strong interpersonal relationships are essential. Now, Ling Yu has taken the first step. Unfortunately, as a newcomer with no reputation, Ling Yu did not see any senior figures such as the chairman and general manager of the old boys club. However, he did not pay much attention to them. There were more opportunities to deal with them in the future, so it was not urgent. After bidding farewell to little Messi, Ling Yu boarded a flight back to London. Chapter 5. Dreams of the World Cup, Newcomers Seeking. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Lying on the spacious seats in the first-class cabin, looking at the virtual panel in front of him, Ling Yu began to sort out each item one by one. The originally blank My Player subsystem has added some information. Player name, Leo Messi, basic information, male, born on June 24, 1987, Argentina sports. Football, player rating, S+ Newell's Old Boys Football Club, body, 40, spirit, 88, technology, 80, health, 30, luck, 92, loyalty, 100. By reading the system help manual, Ling Yu has gained a preliminary understanding of the following 6 percentile indicators. The 5 indicators of physical, mental, technical, health, and luck all refer to the numerical abilities you currently possess as a football player. The standard for professional players is 60 points. Taking Messi as an example, his body score of 40 points indicates that his current physical condition is far from the standards of a professional player. But the spirit score of 88 and the skill score of 80 have greatly exceeded the standards of professional players. Considering that he is only 13 years old now, these 2 indicators are already quite incredible. Health refers to the likelihood of one's own illness or injury, and the higher the score, the lower the probability of a player falling ill or injured. Due to his illness, Messi's score is extremely low. However, once he recovers from the illness, the score for this indicator will significantly increase. Luck refers to the ability to seize various accidental opportunities on the field. Taking forwards as an example, with the same shot, players with high luck may score, while players with low luck may kick on the goalpost. Xiao Meixi's score is as high as 92, making him the pinnacle level demon in world football. Among the 6 indicators, Ling Yu is most concerned about loyalty, which represents the player's sense of identification with him. The more loyal a player is, the less likely they will betray themselves and switch to the embrace of other agents. Ling Yu remembers very clearly that on the day of signing the agency contract with Jorge, Messi's loyalty value was 70. The next day, after competing with Masahiro Yamamoto for a free kick and forcing him to apologize, Messi's loyalty skyrocketed to 90. Afterwards, the accumulation of small things such as renting a house, purchasing furniture and appliances, seeking medical treatment, dining together, and shopping at specialty stores to buy jerseys and shoes finally elevated Messi's loyalty to the highest level, reaching 100. This means that as long as I don't voluntarily terminate the contract, from now on, I will be Messi's only agent until the sea sells. Messi, we are bound together in this life. Ling Yu couldn't help but laugh, causing the beautiful flight attendant on the plane to take a few more glances at this handsome young man from China. Watching a science fiction movie, The Matrix, in first class can also make you laugh. Isn't this young man's smile a bit strange? After reading the information about Rio Messi, Ling Yu started reading the information about the second player again. It's good. During this trip to Argentina, he signed a management contract with both of them. Player name, Luka Messi, basic information, male, born on October 3, 1993, Argentina/China sports. Football, player rating, S. Club, none, body, 40, spirit, 80, technology, 60, health, 90, luck, 93, loyalty, 100. Luka Messi is the little beggar that Ling Yu met at the Old Boys Club, which is Messi's younger brother. In Ling Yu's memory, Messi should only have one younger sister. Now how to have an extra younger brother? Considering that this is parallel time and space, there are some differences, which is normal. Ling Yu did not think much about it. At that time, he was on a whim and thought that Luka was very clever. Considering the excellent genes of the Messi family, he signed Luka. Now it seems that this unintentional move may have far-reaching implications. The S. Rating and comprehensive attributes have ensured that this signing is not a loss. With a health value of up to 90, this is an Iron Man on the court, even higher than Messi's luck. This is a lucky baby on the field. As long as this type of calf is cultivated, the starting position of the top 5 European League clubs should be guaranteed. What made Ling Yu most happy was that Luka actually had Chinese ancestry. Regarding this matter, he had asked Howard privately, but the other party was vague and didn't really want to say it, so Ling Yu didn't ask much. Luka's Chinese ancestry suddenly inspired Ling Yu to have a bold idea. It is now the year 2000, 2 years from now, at the World Cup in Japan and South Korea. The Chinese men's football team will embark on the World Cup stage for the first time. However, this World Cup journey is destined to be bitter, with no wins, no points, and no goals scored. The next day after receiving the system, Ling Yu set a small goal in his heart. Hoping that through his own efforts, more Chinese football players can join European clubs and play as starting players, so as to advance to the group stage in the 2002 World Cup and create excellent results. Now, Ling Yu's idea has taken it a step further. In the future, can he use his network of contacts to allow more football talents to join Chinese nationality, and thus establish a strong national football team to compete for the World Cup championship? Of course, this is just a preliminary idea from Ling Yu. How to implement and operate it is very vague, and the timing is not yet ripe. However, once he had this long-term goal, Ling Yu suddenly felt that everything he was doing now became more meaningful. The goal is ahead, now we can only roll up our sleeves and work hard. There is also a line of information below the My Player subsystem. Remaining player attribute points. 10 points, according to the system explanation. Besides the loyalty attribute, the other 5 attributes of the signed players under their own name can be increased to a maximum of 100. If these players leave themselves, the added player attribute points will not be returned, which is very frustrating for Ling Yu. But on second thought, this is also quite good, otherwise the system would be too rebellious. Ling Yu hesitated for a long time about these 10 attributes, whether to improve certain attributes of Leo Messi. After much consideration, he still chose to give up. After all, based on Leo Messi's growth trajectory, he will surely grow into a superstar in the future. Adding these attribute points to him is at most an icing on the cake. To unleash these attribute points to their fullest potential, it is necessary to provide timely assistance. As for Luka Messi, he's still too young now, we'll talk about it in a few years. After some thought, Ling Yu has already made a decision to keep these player attribute points for now. Ling Yu also took a look at the newly added My Achievements subsystem, and the content inside was very simple. Achievement 001. Full Bloom. Possesses football agent licenses from all countries. Besides, there was no other information, not even a reward, which left Ling Yu speechless. However, since he was powerless to change, he had no choice but to accept it. The subsystem of My Task has been updated, and for Ling Yu, the difficulty of the new task is very high. No, it should be quite large. Chapter 6. Hell-level missions, new book seeking support. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Task 02, first showcase of sharpness. Task objective, sign a management contract with a football player. Task requirements, the football player must have a rating of no less than A+, have previously been selected for national teams in various European countries, and must not exceed the age of 35, completion deadline, April 30, 2000, task reward, cash reward, $200,000 task penalty. Task failed, system shut down, host assets reset to 0. Ling Yu chose to ignore the punishment content that had been upgraded to another level. Task failure, how could it be? In my own dictionary, there is never a word for failure. No matter how difficult it is, I will try my best to challenge it once, and I will do my best to challenge it once. Only through hard work can one win in life. Closing his eyes, Ling Yu filtered through his mind, memories of his past life flashed by one, but he couldn't find any suitable players. Either it's a big-name football star who already has their own agent. Either they are national team members from small European 3rd or 4th tier football countries, with the highest rating being A. Either it's a retired football star who is over 35 years old. After thinking for a long time, there was no suitable candidate, and Ling Yu couldn't help but sigh. This system has more than one mode. Hell mode, and the difficulty of this task is too high. Sir, do you need a cup of coffee? The understanding and beautiful flight attendant in first class walked over and said softly. Looking at the blonde hair and blue eyes in front of her, coupled with the S-shaped curve, Ling Yu's mood improved a lot. Okay, give me a glass with more sugar. Okay, the flight attendant responded softly. Sir, there is also the Times newspaper for that day here. Do you need a copy? Ling Yu nodded. Opening up the newspaper, Ling Yu didn't pay much attention to the current political news. He directly found the sports section. This issue of the sports edition is a forward-looking introduction to the 2000 European Championship, as well as a detailed analysis of the roster of 16 participating teams. When he saw the Danish team's roster, a somewhat unfamiliar name suddenly entered his mind. Yes, that's him. The plane arrived at London Heathrow International Airport, and Ling Yu got off the plane and went directly to the departure hall. He bought a ticket to Copenhagen, Denmark, and then called Feilu. Xiaoyi, I'm back. Brother, you've finally come back. I've been bored by myself since you're not here. By the way, how's things going in Argentina? Feilu's familiar bass came from his phone. It's okay, everything went smoothly. Xiaoyi, can you help me with another favor? No problem. Brother, I still have $5,000, is that enough? If it's not enough, I'll ask my dad for some more. Ling Yu's toes couldn't help but pick up the tiles at the airport. Ahem, I'm not borrowing money, but I want to trouble your uncle. Can you help me get a player's phone number and home address? And who is his agent? I'm afraid it's a bit difficult, but I can help you ask. Xiaoyi, thank you very much. Brother, why are you being polite to me? What's the name of the player? Brian Laudrup, also known as Little Laudrup, Ling Yu whispered. Half an hour later, Ling Yu received a call from Feilu. Brother, I've got what you're looking for, but please keep it a secret and don't tell anyone else. Don't worry. Brother, take your notes. What is Little Laudrup's phone number? With his strong memory ability, Feilu only said it once and Ling Yu remembered it. Thanks to Feilu, there was still over an hour before the plane took off, and Ling Yu began to stroll around the airport. A lottery betting spot not far away caught his interest, and he looked at the time. Today is April 20th, Thursday. There are still the last 5 rounds of the 1999.2000 Premier League season left, and Manchester United is unstoppable in winning the championship. April 22nd, Saturday, is the 34th round of this season's Premier League. April 24th, Monday, is the 35th round. The 2 rounds of the league are so close, I'm afraid there's only the Premier League left. Based on his past life memories, Ling Yu bought a few lottery tickets and was not too sure if his memory was accurate, so he didn't dare to buy too many. However, in one game, he bought $10,000, and what he bought was a goal lottery. In the 35th round of a focused match, Manchester United faced Chelsea at home. You should know that when the two teams faced each other for the first time this season, Chelsea defeated Manchester United 5-0 at home. Now that the two teams meet again, it must be exceptionally exciting. Ling Yu remembers very clearly that he and Feilu watched the game at a bar. After the game, the fans from both sides in the bar fought. The scene was too exciting and still lingers in Ling Yu's mind to this day. Previously, Ling Yu also had the idea of getting rich quickly by buying football lottery tickets, but it was only after implementing it that he realized that this method had many difficulties. Firstly, although I need extraordinary memory abilities, I have not yet reached the level of supernatural ability. I can remember every news and newspaper I read over 20 years ago clearly and vividly, leaving an impression on those important or closely related competitions. Secondly, in this parallel time and space, European countries have extremely strict management systems for lottery. For example, in the UK, if the total amount of a single bonus exceeds $600,000, a personal income tax of up to 45% must be paid, and personal information, including name, gender, and date of birth, must be disclosed. This is very unacceptable to Ling Yu, who has always been low-key. Forget it, let's make some pocket money through lottery. For big money, you still need to rely on your own housekeeping tool, the legendary agent system. After buying lottery tickets, Ling Yu was about to find a fast food restaurant to buy some hamburgers to fill his stomach when suddenly a piercing sound sounded behind him. Chapter 7. I Want Revenge, New Book for Collection. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. An unusually piercing sound sounded behind Ling Yu. Hey, why are you here? Don't you have to go to class? Ling Yu frowned, the owner of this voice he was very familiar with. In my past life, I was captivated by this woman and fought against her, causing trouble for my friends and family, leading to a drastic decline in my life. Taking a deep breath, Ling Yu turned around and looked at the young woman in front of him with heavy makeup and a seductive face. He said calmly, "Miao Rong, didn't you also attend class?" Miao Rong, Ling Yu's ex-girlfriend, is a sophomore majoring in performance at the University of the Arts in London, UK. At a dance party, Ling Yu met Miao Rong for the first time and became uncontrollable, launching a crazy love attack on her. In the end, Miao Rong accepted Ling Yu's confession. Afterwards, Ling Yu regarded Miao Rong as his beloved treasure, spending money like flowing water. As long as she wanted it, Ling Yu didn't say a word and just bought it. But unexpectedly, half a month ago, by chance, Ling Yu discovered that she had an ambiguous relationship with another man. When he approached to question, Miao Rong only coldly dropped a sentence. "Let's break up, I don't love you at all." Afterwards, Ling Yu occasionally recalled that experience and felt that his former self was so foolish. Is it worth seeking death and life for such a green tea girl? Is it worth it to implicate so many people for such a materialistic woman? Is it worth missing out on the woman you love the most for such a snake and scorpion woman? Now, seeing the woman who had harmed him for a lifetime again after being reborn, Ling Yu only had one thought in his heart. I want revenge. At the moment of seeing Miao Rong, Ling Yu's mind was a bit dazed, and countless complex emotions surged into his heart. He needed to control himself. But in Miao Rong's opinion, Ling Yu's performance clearly shows that she still feels reluctant to part with herself, which makes her very satisfied. She likes the feeling of playing with men between her thighs. Ling Yu, I took a week off because my boyfriend Olsen is representing the school to play a game in France. I have decided to accompany him. As she spoke, Miao Rong extended her arms and tightly embraced a tall and sturdy British young man beside her, with a cute and charming appearance. This British man Ling Yu knows, named Olsen, a senior student at the University of East London, who is a key player in the school's football team. It was he who stole Miao Rong from Ling Yu's side. Back in the day, Ling Yu wished for Olsen to be skinned and killed. But now, I only have 2 words to give to this guy, pitiful. Because according to the trajectory of her past life, 3 months later, this woman will shake off Olsen and get together with his older brother, a somewhat famous acting agent, and Olsen will also be paralyzed in his lower body due to a duel with himself, and his life will be basically finished. At this moment, it seemed that in order to anger Ling Yu, Miao Rong even put on a kissing posture, while the bloodthirsty Olsen couldn't bear it and immediately gave intense feedback. But Miao Rong didn't know that when faced with this pair of dog men and women again, Ling Yu's mentality could be described as calm. The reason why she didn't leave was just because she wanted to. Quietly watching you two perform. Olsen, are you going to Marseille, France to participate in the Four Nations High School tournament? Good luck to you. If you have time, I will also go and watch the competition. Miao Rong, it's already sophomore year, and your kissing scene hasn't improved at all. Your expression is stiff, and your eyes keep secretly looking at me. You haven't fully displayed your true nature as a slut. No, you still need to practice well. After the two finished drawing, Ling Yu calmly inserted a knife and then turned around to leave, leaving the two stunned. Is this still the simple-minded and hot-tempered Ling Yu? How could he act so calm and composed? Did he take the wrong medicine? Before boarding, Ling Yu received a phone call. Ling Yu, where are you now? Do you know that you haven't attended classes for 5 or 6 days? If this continues, you will be expelled from school after the end of this semester. A crisp and sweet voice came from your phone. Ling Yu's heart suddenly trembled, and for some reason, a few lyrics inexplicably appeared in his ear. White moonlight, somewhere in my heart. So bright, yet so cold. Everyone has a period of sadness. I want to hide, but I want to cover it up. Ling Yu quietly wiped away the tears from the corners of her eyes and whispered, Su Shuang, I have some personal matters to attend to. I have already asked the department head for leave. Don't worry, I won't be expelled from school. I'm going to Copenhagen soon. You, wait for me to come back. After speaking, Ling Yu hung up the phone, worried that the other person might hear his choking voice. On the other end of the phone, a tall and beautiful young woman was confused. Did Ling Yu take the wrong medicine? How can he speak strangely? Also, what does it mean to wait for me to come back? Why do I have to wait for him to come back? Who does he think he is? Su Shuang, hurry up, the cheerleading training is about to begin. The cries of companions came from outside the window. Okay, I'll be right there. Su Shuang quickly put on her training shoes, bounced around, and ran out of the dormitory. Chapter 8. Little Laudrup, you are a scammer. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Although Copenhagen is the largest city in Denmark, it can only be considered a small city for Ling Yu from China. After all, the area is less than 100 square kilometers and the population is less than 600,000. In China, this order of magnitude can only be described as a county-level city. Feiyi's uncle is truly the backbone of the world's largest sports agency, and the address he obtained was very accurate. It didn't take much effort, so Ling Yu found the seaside villa where little Laudrup lived. Looking at the quiet villa in front of Ling Yu, detailed information about little Laudrup couldn't help but come to mind. Brian Laudrup was born in 1969, and his brother Michel Laudrup, who is 5 years older than him, is also known as Big Laudrup. In 1992, when the Danish national team competed in the European Championship in Sweden, General Laudrup refused to play for the national team due to a disagreement with the then head coach Nielsen. General Laudrup took on the responsibility and led the team to win the championship, staging a Danish fairy tale on the football field, ushering in the pinnacle of Danish football. In the 1998 World Cup in France, Laudrup Jr. and his brother Laudrup Sr. led the team to the quarterfinals, which was also the final glory of the Danish football golden generation. In 1999, Laudrup Jr. joined Ajax and performed well, but in the middle of the season, at the end of 1999, he suddenly announced his retirement for unknown reasons. In Ling Yu's memory, little Laudrup should have officially retired after the end of the 1999-2000 season, but in this time and space, he retired half a year earlier. It is unknown whether this is related to his sudden entry as a black butterfly. Previously, Ling Yu had called little Laudrup's phone number, but had not been able to reach him, so he had to come to his door on his own. The courtyard of the villa was quiet, with no one around. Ling Yu was about to ring the doorbell when suddenly the door opened. A tall middle-aged man in a blue jacket angrily walked out of the 3-story building, muttering, "Unreasonable family. It's been 4 months now, and there's nothing wrong with him. He even said he's sick, unable to come back, unable to be a coach, commentator, or shoot advertisements. It's ridiculous. Forget it, there are still guests coming this afternoon, so I'll go ahead and work hard." Looking at the angry figure of the middle-aged man leaving, Ling Yu's heart twitched as if he had caught a valuable clue, but there seemed to be nothing. After pressing the doorbell again, the person who came to open the door for Ling Yu was a beautiful Nordic woman, probably the wife of little Laudrup. After Ling Yu revealed her identity, the Nordic woman's face changed. If it weren't for her efforts to restrain herself, she would probably have gone berserk on the spot. "Madam, don't be angry for now. Although I am also a football agent, I came to see Mr. Brian this time not to make money from him, but just to help him. So, please make sure to let me meet him. I don't think you will be disappointed." Ling Yu's words were very straightforward, but with her sincere gaze, sincere tone, and handsome appearance, Nordic women developed an indescribable sense of trust in Ling Yu. After considering for a moment, she finally agreed to Ling Yu's request. However, the meeting time is only 10 minutes. In the living room, Ling Yu finally met little Laudrup. At first glance, Ling Yu was stunned to see this representative figure of Denmark's golden generation. Is this still the handsome and charming Danish handsome guy in my impression? Is this still the spirited and beautiful man who made the Sleeping Beauty celebration after scoring a goal for the Brazilian team in the quarter-finals of the 1998 World Cup? The little Laudrup in front of him had a haggard face, messy hair, a scruffy beard, and confused eyes. He sat on the sofa and looked at a bookshelf in the room without saying a word. Ling Yu's arrival seemed to have caught little Laudrup's attention, and the Nordic woman had to remind him, "Dear, this Mr. Ling Yu is from London and is a football agent who says he can help you." "Football agent? Help me?" Little Laudrup murmured to himself, finally turning his gaze to Ling Yu. "Japanese? No, he said he's from China. Chinese people. I have never heard of a Chinese agent in the English football circle. What is his name? Ling Yu. What an unpleasant name." Little Laudrup didn't hide his disdain. During the conversation between the two, Ling Yu's eyes were sharp, and he had already looked around the living room, feeling a little more confident in his heart. "Mary, this is a scammer. Hurry up, get rid of him quickly. I don't want to see him again, I don't want to see him again." Little Laudrup suddenly raised his voice and shouted loudly, looking excited. Mary, a Nordic woman with a troubled expression, looked at Ling Yu and said, "Mr. Ling, I'm really sorry." Ling Yu waved his hand and said, "It's okay, I'm leaving now." With these words spoken, Ling Yu turned around and walked outward. Just as he was about to leave the living room, he suddenly stopped and loudly said, "Brian Laudrup, you are the big scammer yourself." "What? What do you mean by that? You furry young man, you dare to insult me. Do you know who I am?" "I am." Unexpectedly, little Laudrup jumped up from the sofa and rushed to Ling Yu, roaring. Facing little Laudrup, who was about the same height as himself, Ling Yu remained calm and composed. After the other person finished speaking, he calmly said a sentence. "Brian Laudrup, you're a big scammer because you've been deceiving yourself." This brainless sentence made Mary on the side listen inexplicably, but little Laudrup's face changed, and a strange light flashed in his eyes. Chapter 9 Showcases my unique skills. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Facing little Laudrup, Ling Yu remained calm and continued, "Even though he still loves football, he chose to retire, even though he has no illness, he always thinks he is sick. This is not a scammer, what is it?" Little Laudrup gave Ling Yu a deep glance and said, "Did you meet Hank at the door? That man in a blue jacket? Well, if I'm not mistaken, he should be your agent, right? Yes, he's your colleague and a vampire. Forget it, let's not talk about him. Mary, bring a bottle of drink over and give it to Mr. Ling. I'll just drink soda water. Mr. Ling, do you have time? Let's talk." "Okay, no problem." Ling Yu understood that his small trick of playing hard to get had succeeded. After a brief conversation, Ling Yu brought the conversation to the main topic. "Mr. Laudrup, you're only 31 years old this year. Don't you regret retiring so early?" "Retirement is great, so I can spend more time with my family." "I owe them too much," said little Laudrup calmly. However, there was a hint of melancholy in his eyes, which did not escape Ling Yu's attention. "Mr. Laudrup, you're lying, you're actually still deeply in love with football. Football. For me, it was just a tool to support my family, and now I no longer love it. How do we explain the so many trophies in the bookshelf, placed in such a prominent place? How do we explain the so many professional health products on the table? How do we explain our body not gaining weight and still maintaining such perfection? How do we explain the so many football magazines and newspapers on the sofa? By the way, just drink this terrible soda, don't tell me, you like this taste. Ling Yu stared at little Laudrup's eyes, casting out his doubts one by one in a calm but powerful tone. Little Laudrup's gaze drifted away, and under Ling Yu's gaze, he felt guilty. Since I have already left, how can I turn back? Since I still love it, why can't I turn back? Ling Yu followed closely. Hey, you guessed it right. I do still love football, but I can't go back, said little Laudrup with a soft sigh. Mr. Laudrup, I don't know the real reason for your retirement, but I can guess that it's nothing more than the following. Injuries, demanding agents, frequent transfers, external evaluations, and the pressure your brother has caused you. Little Laudrup's face changed and he wanted to say something a few times, but in the end he remained speechless. Ling Yu knew that he had guessed correctly. Mr. Laudrup, I just want to say one thing. Your brother is you, you are you, both of you are independent individuals with their own life trajectories. Why bother comparing them together? There is an old saying in our country of China, people are more popular than people. But there is also a famous saying that truly mature people never compare themselves to others, only to themselves. As your fan, I hope you can become the true Brian Laudrup, not Michelle Laudrup's brother, but all of this needs to be said through grades. Avoidance is not the best way. After a moment of silence, little Laudrup spoke up and said, Mr. Ling, I admit that you have already convinced me. I now have a slight idea of making a comeback. But, I would like to ask, is this doing you any good? I hope to sign a brokerage contract with you, Ling Yu said of his true intentions. This is impossible. Although Hank is a detestable guy and a vampire, he has been my friend for over 10 years, and I cannot shake him off. Mr. Laudrup, before this visit, I also asked a friend to learn about Mr. Hank's situation. It has to be said that he is really a financial fan. In order to make money, before he became your agent in 1997, you transferred 4 times in 4 years and changed to 4 clubs. This is a disaster for any player. Little Laudrup remained silent and unwilling to make any comments. Ling Yu couldn't help but sigh in his heart. This football star is really a good person. It seems that there is no other choice but to use the last resort. Ling Yu understood that the reason why little Laudrup was unwilling to change his agent was not only because of his friendship, but also because he was a newcomer with no successful experience, and he had no confidence in himself. It seems that not showcasing some unique skills is not enough. Mr. Laudrup, what do you think about the upcoming European Championship? Ling Yu asked casually. This European Championship is bound to be an exciting and historic one, said Laudrup Jr., with a good official response. What do you think the Danish national team will do in this European Championship? The Danish team's grouping this time is not ideal. They are in the same group as France, the Netherlands, and the Czech Republic. France is the 1998 World Cup champion, and Zinedine Zidane is at his peak, which is a difficult opponent. Next is the Dutch team, which has the same strength as the Danish team, with some matches. As for the Czech Republic, their strength is not good. In my opinion, the Danish team will achieve a record of 1 win and 2 draws, and they will advance second in the group. As soon as football was mentioned, the young Laudrup was full of energy, showing a hint of his former brilliance. However, Ling Yu immediately poured a plate of cold water on him head-on. Chapter 10. Hometown, Don't Leave. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Mr. Laudrup, I think you are too optimistic. I think that in this European Championship, the Danish team will find it difficult to advance. In addition, the Danish team will not win a game, not score a goal, and not score a point, becoming the worst performing team in this European Championship, said Ling Yu. Based on his past life memories, Ling Yu knew that Denmark's performance in this European Championship could be described as a disaster. They lost 0.3 to France and the Netherlands respectively, and 0.2 to the Czech Republic. This performance, along with the performance of the Chinese team in the World Cup in Korea and Japan 2 years later, can be described as a pair of difficult brothers and brothers. This is impossible, it's just a bunch of nonsense. You know, even if I retire, the Danish national team still has stars such as Schmeichel, Herwig, Glenschel, and Thomassen, and their level is not inferior to mine. How could they possibly lose 3 games in a row? Young Laudrup said angrily. It can be seen that he is clearly restraining his anger, otherwise, his cup in his hand has already smashed towards someone. Mr. Laudrup, you may think I'm talking nonsense, but I naturally have my special abilities to become a football agent. What special ability? Is it a plain and obscene mouth? Little Laudrup's anger lingered. I can predict the scores of football matches and also predict the future performance of players. The reason why I became a football agent is because I am very confident in my special ability, Ling Yu said calmly. Little Laudrup couldn't help but roll his eyes. Although there are many people in Europe who believe in astrology and fortune-telling, he doesn't believe in it. I'm tired, that's all for today. We'll have a chance to talk again in the future. Little Laudrup issued a guest order. Ling Yu smiled and said, Mr. Laudrup, if you don't believe in my special abilities, I can prove it to you. Today is Friday, and tomorrow there will be a focal point battle in the English Premier League. Manchester United will host Chelsea at home. You should know that, right? Little Laudrup nodded. We can make a bet that if I guess the score of this game correctly, you will sign a management contract with me. If I don't guess correctly, I can act as a tour guide and accompany you on a 1-month trip to China. I will cover all the expenses, and you can take Mary and enjoy the beautiful scenery of China to the fullest. How do you know I want to go to China? Little Laudrup said curiously. Ling Yu smiled slightly and said, there are several books on the coffee table that introduce Chinese culture. Okay, observe carefully enough. Okay, I'll bet you on this bet, but I'll only guess the score. The difficulty is too low, and there's a possibility of being fooled by you. I need to increase the difficulty, said Little Laudrup. Sure. Not only do you want to guess the score between Manchester United and Chelsea, but also who the player who scored the goal is. Do you dare? Little Laudrup approached Ling Yu and said coldly. To the disappointment of Little Laudrup, he did not see any panic on Ling Yu's face, but rather an inexplicable calmness. No problem, I agree to your request. However, in case I win by chance, please don't break the promise. I swear on behalf of the King of the Gods, Odin, that as long as you can accurately guess the score and scorer of the match between Manchester United and Chelsea, I will sign with you. Okay, refreshing. Ling Yu gave a thumbs up. The score is 3.2, Manchester United wins. York and Solskjaer scored for Manchester United respectively, with York scoring twice. Zoff scored for Chelsea, and who else? Let me think about it. Ling Yu pretended to be pondering for a few seconds before saying the name. The other player who scored for Chelsea is defender Petrescu. I hope you can get it right, said Little Laudrup. God will bless me. After leaving Little Laudrup's villa, Ling Yu took a deep breath and understood that he had a 99% chance of winning. The only variable is whether there will be a slight deviation in this focal battle due to his arrival. For example, it is not York who secured the victory for Manchester United, but Beckham. May God bless me. It was already Friday afternoon, and Ling Yu thought for a moment and decided to stay in Copenhagen tonight. After this matter was settled, he would return to London. He originally wanted to find a cheaper and faster hotel to stay, but after searching for several, they were all fully booked. Helpless, he had to find a 5-star hotel nearby, the Copenhagen Marriott Hotel. Although the house price is not cheap, at $300 per night, with Ling Yu's current budget, he can still afford this amount of money. The system rewarded 120,000 yuan, and Masahiro Yamamoto has fully paid off the debt of 100,000 yuan, totaling $220,000. Deducting 20,000 from the loan fee, give 30,000 to the Messi family. The various expenses in Argentina, combined with round-trip airfare, are about $10,000. Now Ling Yu still has $160,000 left on him. At the current exchange rate of 1.8.2, this is about 1.3 million Chinese yuan, a safe millionaire. When checking in, there were originally some front desk beauties who looked down on people with their dog eyes. When they saw the thick stack of dollars in Ling Yu's wallet, their eyes began to shine and their attitude improved a lot. Ling Yu couldn't help but sigh, money is really a good thing. Soon after the formalities were completed, Ling Yu was going to have a rest in his room when 5 or 6 Asians passed by him. Their conversation attracted Ling Yu's attention. "Lao Hu, how are you? Did you feel satisfied with the arrangement of this trip to Europe?" "Well, that's good. I hope our meeting with Copenhagen Club goes smoothly tomorrow, and I hope they can recommend some good players. The players recommended by China Jutland Club yesterday are really not up to par, and playing in League 1B is definitely not good. Don't worry, I have contacted a very good football agent this time. He has a very good relationship with Copenhagen Club, and with his help, we will definitely find suitable players. Lao Xia, it's all up to you this time." "No problem, I'll handle things. Don't worry." The familiar Mandarin and local accent moved Ling Yu's heart. These Asians were not only his own companions, but also his fellow villagers. "Hometown, don't leave.